Welcome to Table Talk, where there's always room at the table. I am your host, Jonathan Harmon of the J. Harmon Home Team, and we can't wait to talk to these fine guests. Enjoy the show. Live. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jonathan Harmon with the J. Harmon Home Team, powered by Keller Williams. And I have had too much caffeine today. Trent and Nevada, I made the mistake of having coffee this morning. That's not the mistake. But then I had a little scoop of some extra caffeine in my midday shake, and I told Trent on the way in I actually smelled purple. It was amazing. I've never done that before, but my senses are so heightened right now that Do you know who Chris Rice is, Trent?
Sounds familiar.
He had a song called "Smell the Color 9."
Oh.
It was amazing. It was such a great song. But it was more about trying to find God as hard as trying to smell the color 9. So that has nothing to do with caffeine, but that's the kind of mood I'm in today.
Hey,
so
I'm here for it.
Yeah,
this will be fun.
This will be a blast.
Yep.
Try to keep up, okay?
I will.
All right. Good luck.
We're going to need it.
Hey, before we launch into our guest, let's go ahead, and that's not what I meant. That sounded terrible. Let's talk about Bryan Nale over at Primis Mortgage.
I love Bryan Nale.
I love Bryan Nale. I had a chance to talk with Bryan this morning, and he is he's just a good dude, you know?
Yes, indeed. Great.
He really is, and he's a great mortgage lender, and he happens to be a big supporter of Spread the Positive.
That's one of my favorite parts.
It's definitely a good thing, isn't it?
Yes,
so
sir.
Trent, can you roll
Yes,
Bryan's stuff there?
Hey, my name is Bryan Nale. I'm a mortgage loan officer with Primis Bank Mortgage, and I want to tell you that I absolutely love being a member of the Spread the Positive Network. It's such a great mission, and it helps bring so much positivity to our community. It's a true pleasure to be part of. There are a lot of ways to navigate financing a home, and in markets like this, having the advice of a trusted local professional is key to making sure you get the right advice for your specific circumstances. Whether you're interested in the purchase of a new home, second home, or have a need for a refinance, I'd love to earn your trust. If I can help you nail your mortgage, call me at 615-243-3976 or visit nailyourmortgage.com, and I'll be happy to talk with you.
Primis Mortgage is a subsidiary of Primis Bank, a member FDIC, equal housing opportunity. As always, all loans are subject to approval. Primis Mortgage, NMLS number 1894879.
So, fun fact, Nevada, that last little bit there is my friend Rachel, and it sounds like she may have had more caffeine than me when she recorded that.
We sped it up just a touch.
Oh, okay.
That's some post-production, man.
She didn't. Oh, you fixed it in post?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Gotcha.
Classic.
I see. Classic. So, our guest today is Miss Nevada Matheson. Is it Nevada or Nevada?
It's Nevada.
Oh, yes, I got
Most
it right.
people say Nevada, except my family.
So how do we know? Because I say the state, Nevada. Is that incorrect?
When I've been there to Vegas and stuff, I've heard most locals say Nevada because
Oh.
it amazes me how often I hear my name the way I'm used to hearing it. From
Gotcha.
family.
Okay. All right. I gotta make sure I get that right. My son actually used to work for you
Yes,
guys,
yes.
and he corrected me and goes, "It's Nevada," and I said, "Actually, son, you're wrong." And he said, "No," and I said, "Yeah, you definitely
it's
are."
just because everyone there, except for probably Jason, says Nevada.
Gotcha. So anyway, Jonas, you were wrong. I was right. Get used to it.
That's right.
It happens all the time. I don't know why he even argues with me anymore. So Nevada and Jason Matheson have Primrose Table here in
Yes.
town. And in addition to that, so I'm going to lay all this out there and then we'll go back.
Okay.
In addition to that, Nevada is a real estate agent
Yes.
with Simply Home,
Simply
right?
Home. Yes.
That's what I thought. See, I had it right.
got
I didn't
it.
even ask you
Right,
that
no, you
ahead of time.
didn't. No.
So we're going to talk about a little bit about both of those.
Okay.
But what I really want to talk about today is not, I mean, obviously Primrose,
Right.
one of my absolute favorite places, not just in Rutherford County, but
Thank you.
just favorite
world.
places, period. Yeah,
Thank
hard stop, favorite places. The process of starting a small business and what a lot of people don't realize or don't really think about is the process of starting a small business starts
so far in advance.
years before we ever even, maybe
Right.
even before you even have a name for the business.
Right. True. We didn't have a name I think until he actually had to have one.
Yeah.
He had to have, something on a document, and he was like, I have to have a name. And Ella thought of Primrose we had a flower truck way back. And
Yeah.
she thought of Primrose for that. And he came home one day and he walked in, and I just remember saying, I can't think of anything. I'm adding table to Primrose, and that's it. It's done. And
Perfect.
I said, I like it though.
Yeah.
I was like, I really like it.
So what is a primrose?
Primrose is a flower.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were doing the flower thing, which was kind of just a fun side thing.
It was awesome. Are you kidding?
He couldn't sit still. He couldn't sit still. He needed something to do in this.
Does the flower truck still exist?
It does not. And Olive was actually just sold about a month ago.
No.
Yes. So she's on to a better home.
Okay.
It's actually using her. But so Ella was just like looking up different things and stumbled across Primrose, and I thought it was just a really pretty name. And then it just kind of went from there. So
Gotcha.
when people, I think she wanted like $100 for coming up with it. I don't even know if we ever gave it to her.
Missy, I'm on your side. You
Yes.
should get some
Right,
royalties off of that.
Right, but she wanted like a flat rate.
Yeah.
$100 for
Oh,
thinking
you
of
sold
it.
yourself short, kid. You
Right,
should have talked to me
exactly,
first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She didn't know. She had no idea. But yeah, I mean, but that was, I can't remember at what point, maybe the spring before we opened,
Mm-hmm.
he finally had a name for it.
Well, I love it. It's a great name. It's simple. But it's elegant at the same
Right.
time. It's very cool. So, Jason is a chef
Yes.
and has been a chef for quite some time, right?
That's all he's ever really done his whole life.
And what goes through someone's mind? You're chefing, whatever, cooking somewhere else for someone else,
Mm-hmm.
and not every chef thinks I'm going to start my own restaurant sometime.
Right.
So what happened? Like, walk me through the last place Jason was cooking,
Okay.
right? And he gets it in his head, hey, I'm doing this. And what happens there? Like, what's that
So-
process like?
So we'll be married 5 years this April. So some of this started before we were married. But
Sure.
he had a food truck in Nashville. We both grew up in Nashville. He moved out of Tennessee, I think, for maybe 14 years. It was a long time. And when he moved back, he worked for different restaurants. And then at some point thought, I want to open a restaurant.
Mhm.
And he thought a good place to start would be a food truck to, do payroll on his own, even though he had ordered as a sous chef and executive chef, just for things to fall under him completely.
Mhm.
So he started a food truck. He did that for a while. And then I think that was it was popular from what he said. But, it's also Middle Tennessee. So good luck on if it rains or if it snows in March and you think it's going to be
Or it's
nice
110
Yeah,
degrees,
right.
or
it can just
And-
go on forever.
and all of those in the same week.
Yes, yes. And he said, at this time he would have probably been in his late 30s,
Mhm.
mid-late 30s. And, he was like, it was a lot of work. You've got a commissary, you're prepping everything, and then you're loading it into a
Sure.
truck. It was just a
You
lot.
hope you have enough and not too
Right,
much.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he started with that, and then he went back, and I think he had worked it was Cork and Cow in Franklin. He had worked there kind of in this off season in the winter with a
Mhm.
food truck. He would work there. And I think it was the second time he had gone back to Cork and Cow that he decided, okay, I'm really going to open up my own place now.
And are you guys together at this point?
Not at this point. He
Okay.
reached out to me about the time that he was looking for a space. We dated in high school. I didn't hear from him for like 20 something years. And then we reconnected, and he was looking at a place. He lived in Donaldson at the time. So he was looking in places in the Donaldson Hermitage type area. He knew he didn't want to be like downtown in that Gulch area.
Mhm.
He had worked there as well. I think he may have thought about Brentwood or Franklin and then Murfreesboro. And so when we started dating, I'm kind of live over on the north side, and this is before Sprouts and all of that.
Yeah.
That part had really blown up. It was just, there was like Camino at the end there by the VA, and that was the only place, except for like 5 Senses on the other side.
Right.
And so when we started dating, he would come out here. He was like, I can't believe there's no restaurants.
There's opportunity.
Yeah.
Right.
So he saw an opportunity. Yeah.
So let's switch gears a little bit. You guys are just getting started dating,
Mhm.
all of this kind of stuff. He's looking at all these opportunities, and how what's going through your mind? Like, this guy's trying to open a restaurant. We're just starting dating. We're
Right.
getting to get like that's a
It was a
lot
lot.
of stress.
It was a lot, and at the time, I was at a position with the state that I absolutely love, probably one of my favorite jobs ever.
Hmm.
So I was really doing my own thing, and he would just kind of give me updates on finding things. And I'm like, oh, okay, and like kind of hoping it works out. And
Yeah.
we'll see.
Either works out or fizzles
Right,
without
or it
too much
doesn't.
damage, right?
I think
Yeah.
in my mind at the time, I knew how talented he was, and so I knew if it didn't work out or if he didn't find the right spot, he would work somewhere in Nashville.
Sure.
You know, I mean, there's so many opportunities out there, and I knew that he would land somewhere if he didn't have his own place.
Mhm.
So I wasn't really too worried about it. And I'm kind of the person that feels like if you get turned down or if you get rejected, it's for a reason. And so when he would have, he really had his heart set on this one place in Donaldson and it fell through. Then he starts looking in Murfreesboro, and he had different ideas for different concepts as well. And so he had a fast casual idea. He was looking at where Payway used to be.
Oh
They
yeah.
turned him down and went with the taco shop. And I was like, it's for a reason. You'll find the right
And that
place.
didn't stay either, right?
Yeah.
That's where the biscuit place is.
It's there
now.
where the biscuit
Yeah.
place is now. We had a place that he was looking at near Middle Tennessee Christian. And one thing I always tell people is make sure you have good lawyers involved because we were able to get out of this, but I think he had put a down payment or some type of money down for this location, and then it was within so many feet of a school, and you couldn't sell liquor.
Oh no.
And that was an immediate no. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way. He was like, I'm not having a restaurant and not being able to sell beer and alcohol.
Sure.
And so we were able to get out of that with no problem. We looked at where TJ's is now. I mean, there were so many different places, and that was just, it was a nice spot, but they hadn't even broken ground yet
At that point.
when he was ready.
Hmm.
So, but he had different people, kind of a team of people that were helping him. And I'll never forget though the time that I saw, because I've been in Murfreesboro almost 20 years, and so I remember the old Hastings. I
Mhm.
remember that shopping center.
How about
when-
lots of CDs at Hastings?
Right, yes. And I remembered just in thinking, are you kidding me? Like,
Well,
what?
I know that shopping center had just
It tanked. Like, you just drove by it and didn't think
and it's
twice
really
about
come
it.
back.
It has. And that was, he had met with the owners of that property, and then I had an opportunity to meet with them and an architect. And when I saw their plans and I heard about their vision for that plaza, and how they were bringing in, Climb may have already been there. I can't remember.
Hmm.
Or at least it was being built out. And they really wanted to be kind of like a health wellness type focus. So you have the pharmacy, right? You've got the healthcare center next to us. There's Climb, these
Bicycle shop.
bicycle shop, Trek, all of these different types of places. And so, but it was a long process just to even apply. I don't know if people realize that. I'm assuming most places want some type of application process.
Yeah.
It wasn't just here's a lease. You
Well,
can
and
get
then
the
the-
keys tomorrow.
And then that landlord is looking at you guys. It's like, okay, an upstart restaurant, and
Right.
it's like,
Is it going to make it?
yeah. Do you know what kind of,
Right.
success rate we have on that kind
Yes,
of stuff?
exactly.
Especially in Murfreesboro,
Mhm.
right?
They wanted a menu. They wanted a lot. It was months of kind of going back and forth.
Well, and the concept that you guys put together is not a highly tested, highly vetted
No.
concept for Murfreesboro. We have a whole bunch of restaurants that are, and this is not an offensive thing, but as
No.
far as the fanciness level, right?
Right.
A step below or two steps below
Yes.
where you guys are. Y'all are a pretty fancy, for most folks, special occasion
It
type
is.
restaurant.
And that's what we've realized is that we have our regulars that we see,
Sure.
some weekly, some on every, Wednesday or whatever. We're
Mhm.
kind of their place to go. But then we're also a place for some people who it's their anniversary. They're going out
Yeah.
to our place like once a year, or they might come back for a birthday. But it's not a place where they'll be every week, and that's okay. It doesn't matter to me. I just want people to come in and enjoy it. So he always says, we're not fine dining. He's done fine dining. He didn't want to do fine dining, even if he was in Nashville
Sure.
or somewhere else. He wanted it to be approachable.
Well, no, that's what I tell people. One of the things I I'm probably one of your best walking
Yes.
advertisements. But
Thank you.
what I tell people is that if you want something just a bit elevated,
Right.
this is my take on y'all's
Okay,
menu. Okay,
thank
are you
you.
ready? I don't know if I've ever said
All
this
right,
to you.
let's hear
Is
it.
every item on your menu has one, max two ingredients that I don't know what they are.
Yeah, same for me.
For the most part, it's several items where I'm like, okay, that's familiar, that's familiar. I don't know what that is. That's familiar, that's familiar,
Right.
that's familiar. And so for those of you that are like me, I don't like to ask the server, what's that? Right?
I Google a lot.
Exactly.
Or I ask him.
Yes.
if he's
Well,
with
you
me.
have
Yes,
that ability.
I have, yes.
Yeah. So it can be intimidating when
It
you go
can
into
be.
a restaurant and you literally can't pronounce anything
Right.
on the menu, and it's like I don't even
Right.
know how to
Like,
order
is it a
something.
sauce? Is it a
You just
side?
point.
What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hope. Right.
Right. Yeah. And some of that, when we first opened, I always love honest feedback, that especially so that I can share that with him. He's always in the back for the most part. So I'm kind of the one that's out there up front, or our staff, and our staff do an amazing job.
They do.
Like,
You have phenomenal staff.
yeah, like Miss Nevada, we're hearing this, or I'm not sure people understand what this is. And then I can go back and tell them. And but there's been times where he's changed the name of things on a menu so that people are like, okay, they don't really get what this is. They can't visualize it. I'm going to change the name to something that they've seen somewhere before, but this is his twist on it. But he does. He will talk about something for weeks. It might be 4 to 5 weeks. And he might test it, and I never see it on the menu.
Right.
He's tested a lot of things recently that won't make it on the menu. He always says that he knows in his mind how he wants something to taste. And if he can't get it there, regardless if we think it's delicious,
Move on.
he moves on.
Yeah.
But when he talks about things, there's so many times that I have to say, I'm not sure what that is. And but he loves to talk about food. So he is never one that's going to like turn his nose up at somebody if they don't know what it is. He loves
Yes.
it when people ask questions about food. He enjoys talking about food, and he's not, kind of pretentious or snobby about it.
100% agree. It's more, instead of a pretentious or snobby, above me kind of
Right.
thing, it's almost like a giddiness that
He enjoys it.
yes, and it's I've experienced this, and you definitely should too, because it's
Right.
awesome. Not a I can't believe
Right. How do you
Yeah.
not know what this is?
right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always been, and here's the other thing that I love about your place. I have been in restaurants that are the same, in my mind, the same fanciness
Right.
level, and I walk out and I'm like, man, I need a cheeseburger or something
Right?
because
Gotta go
I'm
but,
starving.
like, yes.
That is absolutely never been the case at Primrose
He
Table.
loves food, and he wants to make sure that everyone has just enough. I mean, if we go out, he's eating a good amount of food. Like, he doesn't want to leave hungry.
No,
And if that means, like, sometimes we were recently in Charleston and we went to one place, and a lot of the plates were small plates, but you better believe he ordered about 4 different things. Like, he's gonna, and I mean, he knew that going in.
sure.
That's
But even y'all's appetizers, you order and they're, gosh, again, they're just so approachable, just
Right.
like a little bit elevated,
Right, a little
right?
different.
Potato skins. Okay, well,
it's his twist on it.
great, but here's Korean pork, and
Barbecue,
here's
yeah.
these peppers that'll light your face on
Yes,
fire, and
yes.
and it's I don't know, they're just like a little bit better,
Right.
right?
Right. He always has a spin on something. And, for some people, I've had people tell me, like if I stop by to clear a plate or ask how was everything. And I've had people, especially in the beginning, I think people now have either heard from, excuse me, people like you, or they've maybe tried things, branched out a little bit. But at the beginning, we would have people that would say, this isn't right. This isn't the way this is supposed to be. Okay.
Like,
and I
oh.
just nod and
Well, why don't you order this instead?
thank you and move on. Or, I would say, well, it's his twist
Yeah.
on it.
Well, it's a fusion. I mean,
Right,
you
yeah.
could have some like Korean and Latin in the same dish, and
Right.
it's like, oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
different.
His shrimp and grits, it's, he says it's a very, traditional New Orleans style. We had someone recently that was like, I've been up and down all the Northeast, and this isn't right. I didn't realize that the Northeast was known, for shrimp
For
and grits,
shrimp
but
and
you
grits.
just kind of have to go
I
with
thought
it.
that kind of stopped at Charleston.
I did
and
too.
It
I was
went
like, I
the other
didn't
way.
know they really did much with grits.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting to see what they take away from it. But the majority of people, they enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. We get very few complaints about the food. And I'm better now. I used to be very sensitive when somebody would say they didn't like it because I see how long it takes him to put something on the menu. I know how hard he works. I know how hard the line cooks work
Sure.
to prep things and what our sous chef does. And it's not something they're just opening up from a bag and
Right.
heating up. I mean, everything is from scratch. And sometimes I'd go back there and I'd be upset and he'd be like, it's okay. Not everyone's going to like the food. And I was like,
And honestly,
okay.
not everybody should, because
Right.
if everybody does, then that means you're not taking a little bit of a bold step.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took a little while for me I hadn't been in this service industry in decades.
Yeah.
My first job, like most people,
Gotta have
was in a
some thick
restaurant.
skin, don't you?
You've got to have thick skin. But sometimes it's hard. But yeah, he's like, we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and it's okay.
That's okay. That's right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that's the restaurant. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture when it comes to starting a business, just in
Yes.
general. What are some things that you experienced in that process? And I know you at this point you know a whole lot of other folks as well that are going
Right.
through it or have gone through it at the same time or shortly thereafter. What are things that people just don't adequately prepare for?
I think the one main thing that I've noticed in talking to people, whether it's a restaurant or any small business, is having the capital and the money. Because you could have a great idea in a perfect location and a ton of, clientele, but if you're not ready for a slow month, if you're not ready for, there's snow days,
Mm-hmm.
you have to account for snow days. For our clientele, one good thing is a lot of people that come in, they vacation a lot in the summer. So our summer, we see a drop in sales,
Sure.
and you have to be prepared for that.
Well, and we've experienced that with Cedar Glade as well. It's not even necessarily vacation, but you think
Right.
in the summer you're essentially entertainment money,
Right,
Right, is what it
exactly.
amounts to.
Right.
And so, what else during the summer competes for those entertainment dollars? You got the lake, you got sports
Oh, yeah.
teams, you got travel ball, you got
Concerts.
concerts, you got
Festivals, everything.
vacations, and fill in the blank, right? And
Right.
and even if it's not the money, it definitely competes for the time, right?
Right.
Cookouts and
Right.
family gatherings, and I mean,
It goes on.
and yeah,
If people have a pool or even a neighborhood pool,
Right.
they
grilling out.
right, they might stop in and get takeout, and they're like, "Oh, we've been at the lake or the pool all day."
Mm-hmm.
And now we know that. We didn't know, and then of course, opening right before COVID, you don't know. There's no history. We finally have. I feel like last year's our first year
Yeah.
where we have some history, but I think people run into issues of not having that capital set aside. And I always tell people, have a lawyer that specializes in contracts with like leases. I'm so glad that we had somebody, because, and it took time. I mean, it slowed us down, but she was excellent. And she went back and forth, probably, I want to say close to a month of things going back and forth before we finally said, okay, we're ready to sign.
So my advice would dovetail on that, and that is, whatever you've budgeted, time and money, double it, and maybe double it again.
Right.
Because if you think I can get this done in 3 months,
It won't.
it's going to be 6 or 8 or 9. If you think you can get it done for $100,000,
You won't.
it's going to be $250.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's in time. You're exactly right about that. I think our projected time was to open in April of 2019. And then it was June and then July. And then I just quit answering. I would tell, I almost felt like when I was expecting Ella and people would ask you, when are you due? When are you due? And you finally get to the point of like, I don't know. They're
Eventually.
telling me this. Eventually she'll be here.
That's what I started telling people at
Right.
Cedar Glade. When are y'all opening? When are y'all opening? And my answer was eventually.
It's like a new baby.
Yeah,
It's just,
that's funny.
When is this thing going to arrive? When is this going to be here? And then finance people. Have a good team, because
Mhm.
and a team that your guests don't necessarily see, not your staff. That's very important. But I feel like if you don't have a really good bookkeeper, somebody to help you with taxes, all the things that are going to keep you in line, your doors aren't going to be open,
Yeah.
right? So you have to have those people that are kind of behind the scenes.
Well, and I would say know your strengths, right?
Oh, yes.
So, I'm a really good this. Well, that
Right.
means I'm probably not a really good this, and
Right.
this. So fill those.
Hand that off to somebody
Mhm.
else. Exactly. But I think having a good team, and like you said, knowing what you're capable of, and sometimes, he does do a lot of things where I'm like, I can do that. Someone else can do that. Why don't you focus on the food this week?
And that's hard because you don't want to let go of something.
No.
You also don't want to spend the money on someone.
Oh, no.
But oftentimes, more often than not, spending that little bit of
It'll
money,
save you.
100%,
It'll save you
and maybe
long
even
run.
make you money.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
True.
What about, every time when I would talk to folks about getting Cedar Glade started, it was, the city. What was your experience dealing with regulation and oversight and all of that?
He did most of that, and there was a lot that was very aggravating. To be honest, there were just so many bumps in the road that we wouldn't have thought of, and that some seemed petty, and I'm sure there were reasons behind it. But just one example, we were taking Ella and my nephew for spring break in 2019, and it was around Valentine's Day, so a month before, basically. He got a call that the city was like shutting down our construction. Our foreman got a call. You can't stop, basically. We're not allowing you to do anything else because you painted the outside of that building
Oh, wow.
3 years ago. And whatever you're supposed to do, they're saying it hadn't been done. And the foreman went back to them and said, no, we didn't just paint it. And I know that because I'm the foreman that painted it however many years ago.
Right.
So go find that. It took almost a month before that was straightened out. It took weeks before it was straightened out. And it's because somebody drove by or stopped in and saw painting taking place. And it was just a mess. I would have people come in once we open and they would ask, how did everything go? I'm like, well, I said, I don't know how all the other places up and down Medical Center open what seems like overnight, and I don't know the process and what they had gone through, but I just kept seeing all these other places open, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why can't we get the doors open? And we were having a hard enough time with the foreman, having enough electricians and plumbers and
Right.
things like that. So
Always a challenge.
it was a challenge. But I know people that have had things in other counties that say similar things. So maybe it's just a lot of red tape.
Yeah.
Regardless.
I'll tell you the other thing that I experienced is when you change, if that place was originally a restaurant, it's easier
Yes.
than if it was originally a bicycle
Absolutely.
shop or whatever.
Right.
So changing the use, you
Right.
get under a microscope.
Right. I think it was a Hallmark store, like a gift shop in
Oh gosh, I don't
Gold
even
Rush
remember.
or something. I don't either.
I think you're right.
The gold, yeah. Because a lot of our guests remember
Yeah.
what it used to be, and
That's
that's always
funny.
fun to talk to them.
What about? We'll skip that for a second. We'll come back to that. All right, let's do this real quick. 3 questions.
Okay.
This is purely your opinion.
Okay.
What's the best dish on your menu? Your favorite
Oh, that's
dish.
hard. My favorite?
Yeah.
Okay, so I love the tempura pork. I love it.
Mhm.
Sometimes I will have that and, split it with somebody and just have a salad. I just love the flavor of it. I really like our chicken dish that he has now, mainly because of the sauce. If they're really busy and I know that they've had a rough night, I won't even ask for that. I'll just get like chicken tenders with this side of the sauce.
Well, let me just tell you, y'all's freaking kids
Kids'
chicken
meals are
tenders
good.
are
Yes.
delicious.
Our kids' meals are nice.
They
and
are.
They're made from scratch,
Yeah.
just like, any of the other entree items are. So nothing's frozen.
Right.
And our filet.
Mm.
I really like our filet.
Okay, what's
So,
the best dessert?
right, hands
And-
down the
and I-
Tris tres leche, the
Yeah.
chocolate tres leche. We sell, I would say, the cobbler the most. Now, when we have the peach cobbler, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Right now it's apple, but that chocolate tres leche is just phenomenal.
And then what's the best drink?
I love the pear martini.
Yeah. What about, don't you have one named after you?
Yes, yes. Okay, so it's the Nevada or the Nevada's punch, and it's a lot of different stuff. It's very beachy. It's a little on the sweet side.
Mhm.
It's got a punch to it. It's got a SoCo float, so it's kind of
It's
but
like you.
yeah,
A little
Little
sweet, but with a punch.
to it. Yes, but if I had to pick one, and I don't remember, I scroll on Instagram just a lot of different cocktails and things like that, and I can't remember where I saw that someone online had this pear martini, and I was like, that just sounds delicious. And Jason was like, I don't know, and he doesn't care about the bar. He's not interested in the bar. He's
Mhm.
strictly food only.
Mhm.
He's like, just do what you want to do. And so I told him, I was like, I'm getting this Grey Goose pear vodka for the pear martini, and he was like, I don't remember what time of year it was, but he didn't think the timing was right for pear anything.
Mhm.
And I was like, doesn't matter. They have it. We're doing it. And we sold out the first weekend. We ran out of the vodka.
Wow.
And then, this last fall, I ordered 4 cases of it, and we ran out after December.
Well,
So,
and I'll tell you, I think that's what I like the most about you guys is that I remember the first time I ever even walked into that space. Y'all weren't open yet. We did
right,
this.
we did a talk.
And I looked around and I was like, okay, I see some normal trappings of modern restaurants,
Right.
but then there were things that weren't, right? And there was a tea set or something on the
Right.
whatever it
We've
was
got
on the one.
case with the silver.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think that day is when Alicia was painting the mural down the hallway. I
Yes.
believe she was
Yes.
actually
The
actively painting that.
primrose.
And the lighting was just, it was similar, like it felt familiar,
Mm-hmm.
but it was better, right? And then like the little chef's table area,
Right.
again, it felt familiar,
Right.
but just better, right? And then your bourbon selection
Yes.
looks familiar, feels comfortable, but it's just better.
Has a few different interesting options.
Yes. And I think you guys have really nailed it with this feels comfortable, this feels familiar,
Right.
it's just better.
We don't want anyone to ever. We are obviously are open for whoever comes in.
Hmm.
But being that kind of close to where we live, at least in my mind, I kind of envisioned like a neighborhood
Hmm.
type feel.
Hmm.
Whether somebody's driving from the Blackman area, or we have people that come in from Lebanon,
Sure.
somebody from Franklin. We get a lot of people that come to meet friends in Murfreesboro, and so we get a lot of that. But I wanted it to feel comfortable and homey, and I love it when I see guests that see each other and they talk. They stop on the way to their table, or as they're leaving, and they chat. That's what I love the most.
Yes,
is when I
the
see
community.
people. Yes, the community, and you see people that are talking, or I've seen people that have made friends through the restaurant,
Hmm.
and I love that.
All right. Let's see. You,
Yes.
just you, forget Jason for a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Nevada could open any kind of business, what would Nevada open?
It would do something with flowers. Like if I just won the lottery and it was like, doesn't matter if you make a profit, just do whatever, I'd probably be driving flowers around to nursing homes and teachers and nurses.
Why
or
flowers?
whatever. They're just so happy and calming. I love doing arrangements. It's like an immediate like no matter how bad a day has been, like getting flowers and putting those in a vase and making something pretty is just relaxing to me. And it makes people happy. The whole time that we had that flower truck, we never had anybody upset or ugly or rude. I'd get some last minute requests, but nothing ever mean,
Sure.
spirited or anything. Just flowers, I just feel like make people happy. And even I did a few things for funerals, and I thought I'd never even thought about that when I started a flower truck. But then I'd have, some clients who would ask me to do stuff, and even that I thought, at first I was going to refer them to somebody else. And I was like, no, I'll do it. They wanted me to do it. And so, although it's not like a joyous occasion.
No, but it adds an element that, like you said, a calming,
Right.
and it's like, okay, in this moment of sadness, here's something of beauty.
Right. They've asked me to do something, and, if I could do it, I did it. But so probably something with flowers, even if it was just, I had a little crew of people to volunteer. Before COVID, I would go with another person in town, a flower farmer, and she and I would go to Adam's place, to the memory care unit, and do flower arrangements with the ladies.
Nice.
And so I just love things like that.
All right, next question. What's the hardest job in the restaurant?
In my opinion, being at the front, host.
Really?
Yes. I feel like
From my perspective, that seems like the easiest job.
a lot of people feel that way.
Uh-huh.
And I've had a server one time kind of make a little snarky comment about how easy they have it, and
Sure.
I corrected her very quickly. And I said, I'll let you stand up there one Friday night and have people ask you, what do you mean I can't get in? Don't you know who I am? I said, because these young ladies, I said, you're the server, and when they get to the table, they're happy to be at the table.
Yeah.
I said, but I feel like the host they're the ones that deal with a lot.
Sure.
Somebody that made a reservation.
They're the one that tells somebody it's a 2-hour wait.
Right. Or, somebody made a reservation for 5 and now it's 10 or
Mhm,
13
mhm.
and they don't understand why they're going to have to go on a wait or sit
Mhm.
separately. And,
Or not get in at
or
all.
not get in at all. They're answering the phone. Or if we get just slammed, there's been a few times that he'll say, shut down to go orders. We're not doing them.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fun to tell that person that calls in.
Because they've made their plans
Right, we're
around
gonna-
that.
yeah,
and
we're-
they've
now-
done it up 15
They've done them
times.
before. And now no one's ever been ugly about that. They're like, what? Like, I called last Saturday and I'm like, I'm just so sorry. Like, we're at capacity. Chef has just shut it down for the night.
hmm
And most people are like, okay. And a lot of people, when they come in, they'll look around and be like, oh, we didn't make a reservation. I didn't
Oops.
think about it. Most people will say, we're happy to see you so busy.
hmm
Some people, I had a call a few weeks ago where a lady said, I came in and I couldn't get a table. They told me it was going to be a 30-minute wait and they wouldn't seat me. And I was like, yes, ma'am, they told me about that. And, I'm sorry. And she was so upset. She said, well, usually when I walk in, I can just get seated right away. And I think we're just getting busier and busier. It's usually January, February is kind of a slowdown for restaurants, and it has not slowed
Mhm.
down. And I think it's just, again, more and more people find out about us. We constantly have new people coming in.
Well, lady that was upset, you should celebrate that for them. That's a good thing.
Thank you. Yes.
Because that means they'll be here
Right.
next year, too.
Yes. Yes. I mean, if we're constantly so slow that you can walk in at any time,
That's a problem.
that's kind of like why.
Yeah.
Especially on a Friday or Saturday night at 6:30.
Yeah, that's
If
a
there's
real
not
problem.
a wait, it's kind of like, why is there not a wait?
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's switch gears entirely. You wear another hat,
Yes.
and you are also a real estate agent, and it's
Yes.
always good to get somebody else that's out there in the market and just kind of pick your brain a little bit.
Right.
So, what is if somebody said the most popular question to ask a real estate agent? So, how's the market?
How's the market?
How's the market in Nevada?
So I think it's actually, I feel like it's better than it was when I was first studying to get my real estate license, which you helped me with, by
Yes,
the
ma'am.
way. I always tell people that. Then it was, I didn't have my license at that point, but when I did get it, there was still some of this people offering huge dollar amounts over,
hmm
waiving inspections, just taking
Out of control.
whatever.
It
Out of
felt like a
control.
frenzy. Yeah.
Yes. I remember I wanted to look at a house down the street from us, and I contacted the agent that sold us the home we're in now, and she replied back with how many people were already, kind of signed up to stop by and look. I think it was close to 30 people. I was like, no,
Mhm.
never mind. I was like, I was just curious. I was
And a
just
lot
like,
of people
look.
felt that. A lot of
Right.
people rented for another year because
Right. I feel like now people, the past probably 6 to 7 months, I really didn't have anybody ask much about what was going on. Now with the new year, I feel like I'm getting more people that are starting to ask about I'm thinking of thinking of buying in the summer, asking me about that. So I do feel like that I get more questions from buyers than sellers. But I think what's interesting, and I'm glad we're having this talk, but I've had I've had a handful of people that are looking at counties surrounding Rutherford County, DeKalb County, Cannon County, Bedford County, what
Coffee County.
Coffee County. What do you know about these areas? And there are people that maybe don't have children, so you're not having to worry about moving schools. Or I have some that my children are going to be at the house, 3 years they're graduate high school and off to college.
And here's a little perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I've been licensed going on 14 years now, and I saw when I first got into it. Granted, when I got into it, we had all the foreclosure stuff going on,
Right.
but even 11 and 12, we had those questions. Well, tell me more about Rutherford County from people moving from Davidson or Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, oh, Rutherford.
Right.
Tell me more about Coffee and
Right.
Marshall and Cannon and DeKalb, like you said, and even Warren. Some of those counties that are kind of on this part of Rutherford
Right.
County. Yeah, you're right.
It's very interesting. And I was talking to someone Sunday, and he's talking about it, some different counties, and it just reminded me, I moved from Nashville. It'll be 20 years next year, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to probably afford a home where I would want to live in Nashville.
Hmm.
And then thinking of the schools and just the different areas. And at the time, I had my youngest sister was at MTSU. Middle sister had just gotten engaged to somebody that's been in Rutherford County like 8 generations.
Hmm.
So I was coming out here to see them all the time. And I was like, I guess we'll just come out here to Murfreesboro.
Well, I'll tell you, in 2010, Rutherford County was the best kept secret in the state of
Right.
Tennessee,
Yes.
and I think that secret is
It's
out.
out. It is out. So very different. I mean, better than anybody, but just completely different. And so I think we'll start seeing people go to different counties.
Yeah, it's happening.
Right.
I mean, it's going on, and especially the ones that are closer to 24.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, if you sell in Murfreesboro and you buy in Coffee County, Manchester, whatever,
Right.
it adds 15, 20
Mhm.
minutes, 25 minutes to your commute.
Right.
But it's usually, speed limit or above.
Yeah, it's not
So,
bad.
and if you're telecommuting, which so many people are now,
I was going to say that. I think that really opened up such
mhm.
just like new areas of interest for people, because so many people say it doesn't matter where I live, or as long as I live in Tennessee, or as long as I'm within an hour drive of my office, for a monthly meeting or something.
And you know what I started getting is, instead of an hour drive to my office, I need to be within an hour or an hour and a half of the airport.
True.
And that's the only
Yeah,
thing they
for
care about.
travel. Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, I could completely see that for travel. Yeah.
So, yeah. And so that puts DeKalb, that puts Putnam, that puts all kinds of
North
other places.
Nashville, like Robertson County,
Mhm.
different places like that.
Mhm.
There's so many pretty areas, even north of Nashville.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely very interesting.
I thought north of Nashville was Kentucky. I didn't realize there was.
There's more.
Oh, okay. I don't
There's-
ever go up there.
There's
so
a few different stops, not much.
yeah.
But yeah.
Gotcha. Well, good stuff. All right. Let's see. I asked you that one already. Let's do this.
Okay.
We'll end this way. What does December of 2023 look like in real estate? Prices of houses higher or lower or the same? Mortgage interest rates higher or lower, the same? I'm asking you. We need to start keeping track of this, Trent. We need to have a board and see whose predictions are right.
I feel like homes will be the same or lower. I don't think that they'll go up that
Okay.
fast, just because the trends that I'm seeing are, and I know that you see this, it's, updates. This house just lowered.
Sure.
Just lowered. I don't think it's going to turn that fast, from now to December, where it booms like it was 2 years ago or a year ago.
Okay.
Interest rates, that one, I'm not sure. I definitely don't see them going down.
Okay.
I think it would be the same, possibly going up. But I think the home prices would be the same, if not. And I think it'll depend on the area too.
Mhm.
but I don't think it's going to be back to bidding wars
Okay.
like it was.
There you go, Trent. Mark that down. That's Nevada's prediction. We'll see. We'll see. I
We'll
have no
see.
idea.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else about Primrose? Any special events? Anything going on that you want to throw out there?
Well, we do have a lovely patio.
You
And
do.
so hopefully once the weather is consistently nice, we'll open that for seating. And one thing this year that has really kicked off, and I know that we're just almost to March, but we had, I think it was 8 or 9 private dinners in January in our private dining room. I don't know that a lot of people realize we have a private
does it
dining
seat?
room, 32
Okay.
max.
It's
Obvious-
awesome. I've had a team
yes,
party
you
there.
have.
Mhm.
Obviously, the holidays, it was booked. I think we only had maybe 3 or 4 days in December
That it wasn't
booked.
Yeah.
And I almost was thankful because it's like at some point you need a little bit of a
Yeah.
breather and a break. But we're booking. Replied to an email today about a date in October. I've
Wow.
replied, yes, I think it's a lot of rehearsal dinners.
Yeah.
And then pharmaceutical companies, thank goodness for them, and medical.
I don't think I've ever
companies.
heard anybody say that.
Yeah. Oh, it's. I bet Mitchell Murphy would say that if you asked him. It's. We get a lot of doctors that dine there and nurses anyway, and the reps will say, "Okay, we're having a dinner. Where do you want to go?"
Mhm.
And it's usually going to be us, Five Senses, places like that that have a private dining room.
Mhm.
And so, especially when we first opened on some of those really slow nights, that was very nice to have a private dinner.
Yeah.
And now it just, I'm answering emails. We probably get 4 or 5 requests a week for dates. That doesn't mean they always book it,
Sure.
but we're replying to multiple requests a week.
That's awesome.
So that would be one thing that I definitely would want people to know.
The patio is awesome.
Yes.
So definitely
Yeah,
check
love
that out.
that.
All right. Nevada Matheson here with Primrose Table and also with her real estate business at Simply Home. How do people reach out to say book that private dining room or to make a reservation?
So the best thing, of course, they can call, but we were getting so many requests that Jason did me a favor and he had added a tab on the website, and it's a little inquiry form. And so you can go to our website, fill in the form. I immediately get an email, and it will even ask, do you prefer call or email reply?
Nice. Is that primrosetable.com?
Primerostable.com. You can also make a reservation online. If it won't let you for some reason, then calling. Like if you need a larger party, you could call.
Outstanding. All right. There you go. You guys go check it out. You will be happy that you did. And if you're not happy, then call her
Call me.
and she'll fix
Let
it.
me know.
That's it. That's perfect. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Again, if you need anything mortgage related, hit my friend Bryan Nale up. And if you need real estate stuff and you, for whatever reason, don't want to talk to Nevada, I don't know why you wouldn't. She's way nicer than me. Then give me a call and I'll make sure I help you as well. Trent, you got anything on STP side?
No, sir. Just always looking for new sponsors and supporters and advertisers and all the things. So, got
Yep.
some new shows and new opportunities. And
Pitch a new show. What's a new one?
oh man, dang, off the top like that.
Come on, man,
just
you
did
gotta be
this.
ready.
A Soldier's Child has been doing some really cool stuff. That's a powerful, powerful thing.
Man,
Yes, it's a
you are not
wonderful
kidding.
organization.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so they Daryl's got some really cool stuff working.
That,
Habibi
he is a character.
He is
Yes.
definitely a character. Got to give a shout out to Habibi Hunters. My friend Nora and Aya from MMY Murfreesboro Muslim Youth. They're doing a show about finding love in the Muslim
Aw.
community, and it's really awesome.
That's awesome.
It's been really cool. They got Nora's a like aspiring comedian. She's hilarious, and then her co-host is a licensed therapist up in New York City, and they're just it's a great show.
I gotta check that
yeah,
out.
Listen
It's
to
been
that.
really cool.
Are you familiar with MMY, Murfreesboro Muslim Youth?
No.
Dude, they
So-
do
I
so
see that
much.
they do a lot for the community.
Oh my word!
So
That
that's-
they
yes.
do a lot.
I
Such
see a
an
lot.
understatement. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's really cool.
I think Nora have I
Yeah,
I
Nora.
Don't, yeah, I don't do that very
Yeah.
well. Sorry, I
Well, you are
apologize.
just a touch.
It is 100% my fault.
No.
I'm pretty sure she sat across from me at the dinner at the iftar that I went to.
Oh, I'm not sure.
It was a couple years ago. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's who that was. She was a riot. She
Yeah,
was a
she's
lot
really
of fun.
funny. Super. It's just a really good show. I've already learned a lot, and think that's cool. Just being able to provide a platform like that. And
Yeah,
different cultures, different perspectives, and just
all part of our community.
yeah,
Right.
man. That's what it's all about. That's what
Love
this
it.
whole thing is. So it's
Love
been
it.
fun to do that.
Well, I love what you're doing, buddy,
Thank
and I'm obviously I'm a fan
Yeah.
of Spread the Positive.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
okay. Cammie, you got anything?
Yep.
We got Cammie the Wonder Dog in here.
It's
There
so
she is.
cool.
Oh, there she
Hey,
is.
I get on the
Making
camera.
an appearance.
She's
I
so
get on the
quiet.
camera.
Yeah.
Did
So,
I do it right? Yes, you did a great job. Cam.
yes,
Good
thank
job.
you, Cammie. I appreciate you.
She's a
And,
total-
Just looking right at you.
I know it. I love it. All
Thank
right.
you.
If
Good
you
talk.
need anything else, let me know. And otherwise, have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you again next week.
That's it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.